Sweep the League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
What is up, everybody? Another manic Monday is upon us. It is Sweep the League, coming to you every single day, Monday through Friday on YouTube. Be sure to go to our YouTube page, subscribe, and hit that notification button so that way you are aware when we go live. Normally, it's around 9 o'clock in the evening. Sometimes we do a little afternoon show. Sometimes we do a late or early evening, but primarily it's been when the NBA finals have been going on. But today we're going late today, 9 o'clock, and of course the Celtics are up 78-52 right now in Boston. It looks like banner number 18 is going to be rising in Boston. So as of right now, third quarter, 8:48 left to go, 52-78. Celtics all over the Mavericks right now. Rudy Campos Jr. coming to you today. Hey, we got quite a bit to talk about. A lot of it deals around the NBA draft. I'm going to give you a little bit of update NBA draft wise. I know Spurs have been, all over the place when it comes to players, particularly Vegas. Jeff Garcia and I did a show for Locked On Spurs today that was released today, and it chimes in on three guys that Vegas has going at the number 4 spot. Get you guys info on that. Leave your comments in the comments section. We'll definitely read them on Sweep the League. Also, the Atlanta Hawks coming out. Fields is saying that they're going to stay at number 1 unless they probably get blown away for that number 1 pick when it comes to a trade package. Looks like they're going to keep number 1. Let's go over that number 1 pick, see where we think Atlanta is going to go. NHL update, not preview. We'll give you a little bit of NHL, the update on that, as Florida still leads Edmonton 3-1, but we'll go ahead and revisit the NHL Stanley Cup because there is a 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs that have come back in the Stanley Cup. They were down 0-3. They came back to win the Stanley Cup. So keep in mind, in NHL, it has happened again. Other than that, everything on a manic Monday coming to you guys here. If you guys got any questions, drop them on the comments. If you got any comments, drop them in that section. Also, shout out to Derek Gervin, newest member of the UTSA Hall of Fame. He'll be getting inducted in October. We're trying to get something special for Derek worked up this week. So when he comes on the show later on this week, we've got something special hopefully for him. But again, thank you everybody for joining me tonight. Rudy Campos Jr. Sweep the League. Let's go ahead and get into the show. What up, Tar Heels? Yep, of course, the Blue Devils rock. According to you, hope you have a great Father's Day yesterday. Father's Day was good. By Saturday, we went to Austin. We were South Austin, Barton Creek Mall, I think is what it's called. And had a good time Saturday. We ended up going back on Sunday. Father's Day was good, relaxing. Ate a little bit of mod pizza. For those of you that don't know, mod pizza is really good. Had a free bird salad, so of course eating healthy and stuff. Appreciate you, Tim, for letting me know on Father's Day, man. Appreciate that. Hope everyone had a good Father's Day out there. What's up, Mario? How you doing, man? Shout out to Mario and Tim. They were the first 2 winners of the Sweep the League giveaway. We didn't give anything away on this past Friday. Didn't have a whole lot of comments, so we're going to try it again for this Friday. Maybe we do a double dip on Friday to give away another prize. But again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. That way that you can be alerted when we go live. That way you have a chance to win one of our great prizes. And a quick thing, shout out to Sports Insanity Network. I'll be on next Monday, Sports Insanity Network. We're going over the NBA draft, so we're going to do a preview show for the first, I believe, 10, 12 picks, or maybe just a lottery. So shout out Sports Insanity Network. Also, I Am Refocused Radio. Shout out to them. We are a part of the I Am Refocused Radio network, as well as Sports Insanity Network. Also, shout out Mudslingers, Burger Boy, Lids, La Cocina Taco, our La Cocina Food Truck, MCS General Contracting, Special Leaf, all of our great partners here at Sweep the League on this day. O.J. Simpson's Speed Chase in 1994. Yeah, there goes the white Bronco, right? That was the famous O.J. Chase. The juice is loose. So that was back in 1994. All right, let's get an NBA Finals update real quick here. So as we mentioned before, the Boston Celtics are up 78-59, third quarter, 5:47 left in the third. As of right now, Boston looks pretty dominant. Can the Mavericks come back? Yes, any team can come back. There's no lead that is safe in an NBA game, whether it be finals, whether it be playoffs, or just a regular season game. We all know how quickly a lead can diminish in the NBA these days. Three-point shooting can just go crazy. Barrage for the Mavericks, you're actually being led by Jalen Green tonight at 14 as of right now. Luka has 13 and 8 and 4. Right now, Boston's getting a ton of help from everybody. Jason Tatum sitting at 18 points, Drew Holiday at 15, Derek White at 11, Jaylen Brown at 15. If we're talking MVP as of right now, Jason Tatum is having an MVP stellar game. He's at 18 points, 10 assists, 5 boards. 5 more boards. He's sitting at a triple-double. So MVP-wise, it's probably going to go to either Tatum or Brown. I think Brown has been playing more consistent for the Celtics. So if I'm taking an MVP after this game, if Boston ends up winning, which, like I said, right now it's 80-61. They're still up 19 on the Mavericks. I'm giving it to Jaylen Brown if we're talking about right now. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, still got a whole quarter left. A lot can happen. But if Boston does win number 18, I mean, that's the most in the NBA right now. That kind of solidifies Jason Tatum's legacy is getting his first title. Jaylen Brown solidifies again for him getting his first title. Derek White gets a title, former Spur. Drew Holiday adds another title to his collection. He was a part of the Milwaukee Bucks title team. Just Boston's been dominant. We've been saying it from the beginning. You know, they've been the most dominant team in the playoffs as well as the regular season. They're not going to apologize for winning in the playoffs with, you know, Donovan Mitchell and those guys down, Jared Allen out, Jimmy Butler down. You know, they're not going to apologize for that. They made it to the finals, and they're showing against a healthy Mavericks team why they were the best team in the NBA all season long. So shout out to Boston, man. They get number 18. Congratulations on that. The most complete team we've seen so far in the NBA, especially in the NBA finals, in a very, very long time. Boston Celtics going for number 18 right now. Again, quick update, third quarter, 4:41 left, 81-62, Boston on top of the Mavericks. Rudy, have you had a chance to watch Cooper Flag going up one-on-one against Matuz Bazelas? They were going at a bucket. They were going at a bucket per bucket, similar style of play. So Matas is a similar style like Cooper Flag. I haven't seen the video just yet, but Cooper Flag and Matas are pretty similar style basketball. Cooper, to me, has developed a more consistent jumper, and I think he is more NBA ready right now. If he was going into the league right now, I would definitely take Cooper over Matas. But again, you know, the thing is that we're not going to see Cooper till next year. He's getting actually a lot of run with NBA guys or future NBA guys right now, which is a benefit for Cooper Flag. But I have yet to see it. But of the two, Mario, it's going to be Cooper Flag. Pretty much all day, every day over Matas. If Cooper was eligible to come into the 2024 draft, I guarantee you Cooper Flag would be number one. It would be pretty much unanimous the way you saw Wemby number one last year. It would just be unanimous. There would be anyone better than Cooper Flag in the draft if he was coming out this year. But Matas he's actually rising a little bit on the draft boards. I've seen him on a couple, and it's weird. I've seen him on a couple of mocks going in the top 5 on a few of them. I don't see it right now. I kind of see Matas probably between the 7 and maybe 13 range, right around there, depending on which team is looking for his style of play and that type of player. But right now, I've seen a couple of teams that, you know, a couple of mock drafts that say Matas is good enough to go in the top 5, and they actually have him going in the top 5. So it's like I mentioned before when it comes to this NBA draft 2024, it's not set in stone. And I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. It's never set in stone. You had Alex R as, oh, he's going number one no matter what. You see the emergence of Reese Arche and saying, okay, well, he's going to go number one. There's a guy that I talked to Jeff when we did Locked On Spurs, and I made a comment. I said, don't be surprised if you see Donovan Clingan go number one to Atlanta. It's very possible that Clingan can go number one. So we're going to get into probably the top three right now. I'll go into the top four when it comes to the Spurs pick as well. But I've kind of got it a little bit the way I'm kind of seeing things falling into play, in my opinion, the way it should go. But again, we'll get into that here in a little bit, Mario, when it comes to the NBA draft coverage. What's up? Yes, sir. Let's get it in right now. Derek Gervin's coming to show. So Derek, okay, so with Derek, he's coming on later on this week. We talking. Derek's got a busy schedule. He's coaching basketball. He does a lot of basketball coaching with the youth of San Antonio and a couple of the surrounding areas. So he's going to be back on this week, Tim. Talked to him earlier. We're going to do some testing with him this week. That way, if he's actually not available where he's at home or something, we're going to try to do it through his phone so he can be on the show a lot more. Again, also shout out to Alexander's Pro Shop too. One of the partners here. We got a bowling podcast coming up as well. But yeah, Derek's going to be coming up this week. Also, give you a quick insight here. So the night of the draft, which is the 26th, I believe, which is next Wednesday, the 26th, Sweep the League is going to be doing a live draft show for the first round only. So we're going to be with you for, all the picks. We're going to be giving you updates on everything. We're going to give you our takes, and we're going to give you our scatter reports, everything when it comes to NBA draft. So we'll be with you the entire first night of the NBA draft, the entire first round of the NBA draft. It'll be myself. It'll be a crew from Sweep the League. Also, we've got Ben Bornstein. He's going to be joining us. He's a Sweep the League college guru. Ben's going to be joining us. So be sure to, if you don't want to watch the ESPN television coverage of, the NBA draft, or I've had people mute it and watch the show, listen to our opinions or whatever. If you want to just join the show, it's going to be a fun night. We're going to do a pregame show, obviously a pre-show, getting ready for the draft. We'll go live again for the draft, and we'll be with you the entire night of the first round, not just the lottery. We're going to cover every single pick, give you all the details. We've got everything broken down for you guys as well. We've got about 50 to 60 player profiles. So whoever gets drafted, we have a player profile for that player. So again, just announcing it. It's also going to be a part of the Sports Insanity Network. They're going to be sharing it out, as well as I Am Refocus Radio. So this whole NBA draft, the first round, is going to be covered for you guys by Sweep the League. It's going to be fun. We've done it in the past before. We've covered the first round of the NFL draft, myself and Gio. We've had NBA draft coverage, so we're launching all that again here, 100% of it. Join us here for Sweep the League on draft night. Yes, sir. It is nice, Mario. Louis, shout out to Louis, man. So Louis, La Cocina food truck, great partner for Sweep the League. Louis, appreciate you joining in. We're going to do a lot more with Louis. So we're going to get with Louis. We're going to try to get you guys out to La Cocina food truck over in New Braunfels, man. Shout out to him. We're going to do a lot with La Cocina here pretty soon, as well as everybody else that's a partner with Sweep the League. So what's up, Louis? How you doing, man? But going into the NBA draft, let's get some NBA coverage here, guys. We got some NBA draft coverage. Atlanta's probably staying at one. What are the Spurs going to do? We'll get into the top four picks here on Sweep the League. So yeah, the fields from Atlanta came out earlier today and said that basically they're going to keep that first pick as of right now, and they're more than likely going to end up taking whoever it is at one. Alex Sarr makes a good amount of sense. I mean, defensive guy, he's a raw type of talent, and he fits the mold that Atlanta wants to do if they want to keep one of either DeJounte or Trey. Now, Zachary Reese-Arche is another guy that kind of fits that mold. They need that small forward type of player. Bogdan Bogdanovic, I think he's still there. So you've got positions that you need to fill that make sense. Where I feel Atlanta might be going, again, I mentioned it on Locked On Spurs earlier today with Jeff Garcia, is don't be surprised if you see Donovan Clingan out of UConn, go number one to Atlanta. It solves a lot of their needs. for me, if they're looking to rebuild, I think rebuilding with Klingon is a really good start. He's a rim protector. He gives him a big body in the middle. You can probably move DeJounte and keep Trey, kind of have a Trey Klingon. Klingon does a magnificent job when it comes to setting screens. He'll be able to get Trey open. You can actually build around him and Trey or DeJounte, because knowing if you trade Trey or DeJounte, you're going to get a pretty good package in return. So I I'm kind of looking more. Klingon is more of the safe pick when it comes to Atlanta. You know what you're getting in Klingon. You don't know a lot what you're getting in with Czar or Risarche. I think with Klingon, it's the safe pick, and I feel that's where Atlanta is probably going to end up going, which leaves the Washington Wizards at number 2. I'm looking at this. More than likely, you're going to see Jordan Poole or Kyle Kuzma move, and when you're looking at the Wizards, it's just pretty much best player available. So I'm kind of looking at Alex Sarr right there when it comes to the Wizards. If they go Klingon at 1 for Atlanta, I'm looking at Sarr at number 2 for the Wizards. Just kind of best player available. When you look at him and you look at Risarche, they're both, to me, they both provide positives in a way. But I think just starting with the big man is going to help them a lot more in Washington. Again, they're probably going to move on from Poole. I think Jordan Poole is going to be the odd man out when it comes down to it. So Jordan Poole is probably going to be gone. I think they're going to go with Alex Sarr. They're going to just kind of start the rebuild in Washington, leaving at number 3 Houston. Houston is it's a head scratcher for me. I like Houston's team as is. They've got a lot of great wing players. They've got Fred VanVleet at point guard. You've got Sengun. You've got pieces. You got Jabari Smith. You've got pieces there in Houston. You could possibly trade 3 and move down on the draft. If I'm not mistaken, Miami is a team that is looking to get into the top 5. The Lakers, I believe, are another team possibly looking at getting into the top 5. So Houston is the wild card for me as of right now. I'm looking at Houston possibly trading down because there's really no player in the top 3 for them. I mean, even if Klingon is there, yes, Klingon makes a lot of sense for Houston. He would be beneficial to play right next to Sengun. But I think Houston has more. They have more advantages for trading down, getting a few more draft picks somewhere in this draft, maybe adding a future draft pick in the next couple of years, maybe get another veteran in return. The biggest question is, the big man. I think they can get a big man later. This is a part where Houston could say, okay, we're trading down. You can probably trade down with Miami. That'll put you at the 15th pick. Then you're starting to talk, okay, we're at 15. Can we trade down even more? I mean, the Knicks have 2 picks in the bottom half of the draft. Washington has a lower end draft. You could probably end up trading down back into the 20s. They can do a lot of moves, Houston, with that 3rd pick. And one guy, if they do move all the way down, that's where a guy like Zach Edey may come into play for Houston. Again, I think they need a big man. They do need they need a small forward. Risarche is probably the perfect pick for them right there. If they stick with 3 and Risarche is there, I think that's where they're going to go with him. But it also makes sense for them to build. They've got a team already that can compete, not for a title, but they can compete for that play-in spot. Again, the West is going to have a rapture. I've said it many times. The West, Brandon Ingram is probably going to end up gone from New Orleans. You're going to see Cat probably gone from Minnesota. You're looking at even Golden State. We've already seen the Klay Thompson thing. So Klay is going to be gone from Golden State. The Clippers, Paul George is already being talked about being moved, or wanting to move. So you're going to see a lot of teams starting to blow it up in the West, which tells me, okay, Houston is kind of right there. Makes sense for them to kind of get some veterans in, maybe another young player that's already been in the league that just needs a chance. But you can also trade down, get another couple of draft picks. So that's where I think the draft really starts to happen at 3. I think maybe you might see a team like Miami jump up at 3, go and get a Risache as if he's there. Even if Alex R is there, one of those guys is there. You may see a team like Miami come in and possibly take that third spot. Let's get to some comments here. Rudy, who was best NBA team that couldn't get a title? Or who was the best NBA team that couldn't get a title? That's a good question. Let me come back to that one for you, Tim. Actually, Donald Klingen turned out to be Jakob Pertl type, meaning if Klingen goes number 1, Jakob going number 1 this year. Is that so? Jakob and Klingen are very similar, very, very similar. And again, I think with Locked On Spurs with Jeff, we talked about Klingen and possibilities of him as being a Spur. It's a very similar thing. I was 100% on board with Jakob staying in San Antonio, even when they drafted Wemby. I mean, to get him back to San Antonio, I would have been 100% on that, because what we were talking about was the fact that Klingen clogs up the middle. That frees Wemby to be a 4, and that means he could be a stretch 4. Wemby can shoot the 3. He can get to the basket. A pick and roll similar to what Jakob would do for the Spurs. He's a great screener, where Klingen is also a great screener. He's a great pick and roll guy. If you have Wemby running the pick and roll with Trey Jones, we're going to use Trey because he's the point guard right now, with Trey Jones, imagine rolling off. You're going to have a big man help if Trey gets to the basket or Devin gets to the basket. That's going to leave Klingen wide open underneath the basket. So what kind of I'm looking at is, if you have your superstar, a la Tim Duncan, remember the days when Tim was playing with Oberto, when he was playing with Rasho Nesterovic, those kinds of players. That's kind of where you're going to get with Donovan Klingen. That same type of thing, where Rasho was a guy that he just was down below. He was getting bored. He was clogging up the lane. He had a little hook shot. He could get to the basket. He could also shoot the jumper. Klingen has he can shoot a little bit of the jumper there as well. That's kind of what you're going to see with a Rasho Duncan, Oberto Duncan type thing, where you would have a Klingen and Wemby type of thing. And there's no better person to coach a duo like that than Greg Popovich. He's had that similarly before. Wemby, athletic-wise, way more athletic than Tim on the perimeter. So you have a lot more to work with. So I think Klingen in San Antonio would have been great, but like I said, I have a feeling he would go number 1. I think Atlanta I think they want to do the rebuild right. They want that safe pick. I don't know how safe it is to take Sarr. I mean, you've seen guys in the past, you've seen Michael Olowokandi, a big man who just never panned out to do anything in the league. Danilo Gallinari was, I believe, a second pick in the draft. So, I mean, again, he had a decent career. A lot of these younger guys that you just don't have a whole lot on, it's going to be tough to take them. Just for me, if I was GM, I'm probably going with somebody who's already won national titles, who's been coached by one of the best college basketball coaches in the game. I like that a lot more than not knowing exactly who I'm getting when it comes to Sarr or Risache. So I do think Klingen, he's definitely a Jakob Pertl type, which isn't a knock on him. Jakob is a good player. He's a really good player. He's a serviceable guy. But again, there's really not really any true instant superstars in this draft. So we're going to get into the Spurs pick here in just a minute. When we come back, we're going to take a little break. When we get into the Spurs picks here, we've got number 4 coming up. Also, they talked about Vegas chiming in. They had Rob Dillingham, Nikola Topic, and Stephon Castle as the 3 guys that are projected to be picked by the Spurs. I think all the odds were identical. So we're going to get into that because we are at number 4 on the NBA draft. This is Rudy Campos. We'll be right back. Living in South Texas, we know tacos are king, especially in the San Antonio and surrounding areas. So if you want the best, then go get the best. La Cocina Taco Truck, located at 283 West San Antonio Street, New Braunfels, Texas, where Louie and his staff are cooking up the most amazing and greatest street tacos you can ever imagine. There is no order too big or too small for Louis and his staff to get going and get ready for you. La Cocina Taco Truck, again, 283 West San Antonio Street, New Braunfels, Texas. They are open Thursday through Sunday evenings. And again, if you want the best, you've got to go to the best. That's La Cocina Taco Truck. Partners of Sweep the League. MCS General Contracting is here to make life easy for you. Rudy Campos Jr. for Sweep the League, coming to you for MCS General Contracting. Chris Leha and the boys are out to provide the absolute best service and quality work. Whether it's that perfect patio in the backyard or possibly the front yard, or you need that durable driveway, well, you know it's hot in San Antonio majority of the time, so what about that long-awaited swimming pool you've been wanting to get? Contact the boys over at MCS General Contracting. They will take care of everything that you need, and I guarantee you they are the best in the business. MCS General Contracting. Partners of Sweep the League. Welcome back to Sweep the League. Citizen here. Rudy, like I said, Celtics in 5. It sure as hell look like Celtics in 5 right now. So I took them in 6. And you know what? I can't say anything like that. Once I took them in 6 and I saw how good they looked, I said, okay, it's probably going to end in 5. I mean, a lot of us thought it might be a sweep. But no, as of right now, it's 86-67 fourth quarter, 10-11 left in that fourth quarter, 86-67. Celtics all over the Mavs right now. They're up by 19 still. So it looks like it's going to be a Boston party after this game here. So appreciate you, Seth, for joining in. It is Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. here. Talking NBA draft. We're up at the 4 now. So originally, right now I've got Klingon at 1, Sar, and then the Houston pick I feel is going to get traded. Probably, like I said, Miami. The Lakers are even looking at that. So we're looking, Houston to be traded. But if the Houston Rockets end up keeping 3, that's where I think I see Reece Archier go at 3. So it makes sense they need a small forward there in Houston. They got some good wing guys, but I think they still can fill that small forward void there in Houston. So that leaves the San Antonio Spurs. Now, the Spurs have Vegas chiming in, and a lot of us know you don't bet against Vegas at all. So they've got Stephon Castle, Nikola Topic, and Rob Dillingham right now as the 3 guys that are the odds-on favorites for being drafted number 4. Talking to, like I said, mentioned this a lot. So talking to Jeff Garcia, Locked On Spurs, that came out today, and this is the exact topic and conversation that we talked about. Were those 3 guys at number 4? That's who Vegas is chiming in with. Of the 3, Stephon Castle obviously is number 1 for me right now. Right now, Stephon Castle is number 1. Gives you the defense you need. I understand his jump shot. It's been spotty. But the thing with him in the NBA is he can always work on that jump shot. He can always improve it. It takes practice. And at the NBA level, these coaches would definitely get him ready and get that jump shot just perfect for him. He can get to the basket. He can create havoc in the back when he gets into the lane. So I like Stephon Castle, but I'm not opposed, and I know the injury, I am not opposed to Topic going at 4. If the thing is, you got to remember, Spurs doctors, even the front office, they're going to do their due diligence. If they feel that injury is just going to linger, it's just going to be that hard for Topic to come back and have a great NBA career, or at least a long one. You have to keep in mind they're probably not going to take him. He's going to drop a lot further than just 4, 5, 6, 7. If the injury is something that they feel wouldn't be is too much of a concern. But if they feel that it's not that much of a concern and he'll be back sooner rather than later, then I'm 100% back on the Topic at 4 bandwagon. Nikola Topic is the ideal guy for the San Antonio Spurs. The ideal guy for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm saying that. He's a playmaker. He can get to the basket. His jumper is coming along. He can shoot. It's coming along. But he's a guy that can lead your team or a team for years to come. He's already a playmaker overseas. And we got to remember, look at the European, the international players that are just coming into the NBA. I mean, you've seen it with Luka, Joker. I mean, you're seeing it with a lot of guys coming in from overseas. If I'm looking at it and you say Topic's knee injury is not a big concern, then Topic is fine with me at number 4. I'm okay with either or. But because we don't know how serious the knee injury is, I'm going to go with another safe bet, and that's Stephon Castle for me. That's the safe bet. Now, I know a lot of people are still on the Rob Dillingham bandwagon. I have never been on the Dillingham bandwagon, just like I am not on the Reed Shepherd bandwagon either. Those two guys are going to be good NBA players. Reed Shepherd can shoot, but Dalton Connect can shoot just as good. And I think he's more explosive on the offensive side. So I take Dalton over Reed. But when it comes to Dillingham, it's the size. It's the defense. I mean, he's going to have to be able to play against some of the better point guards in the game. I mean, you're going to have to go up against John Morant. He's going to have to go up, obviously, with Steph Curry. I mean, De'Aaron Fox. And these are Jamal Murray. These are guys in the Western Conference. I see Stephon Castle being able to hang and play with those guys better than I see Dillingham. Now, Dillingham is an offensive guy. He's an offensive threat. He can shoot the ball. He's a scorer. But in this day and age, I think for the San Antonio Spurs basketball, you need more than just a scorer. At number 8, if they keep the 8th pick, you can get you a scorer there. Again, I mentioned the guys like Dalton Connect should be there at 8. I mean, if he doesn't go to Detroit, I think Detroit would love to have Dalton Connect up right there where they take him at 5. But here's to hoping that he drops to number 8. But nonetheless, I'm not on the Dillingham bandwagon. Never have been, never will be. And if he gets drafted by the Spurs at 4, so be it. I mean, we have to talk about it and we'll go over it. But for right now, I am 1 Castle, 2 Topic, 3 Dillingham at 4. If Topic's knee injury is not that serious, I might change it to Topic back at 4, Castle at 2, Dillingham at 3. But those are the 3 guys that Vegas actually has right now. Vegas has those 3 guys as being the favorites, the odds-on favorites, being drafted by the San Antonio Spurs at 4. Who do you guys want to see draft at 4 by the San Antonio Spurs? If you have the first 4 picks, how do you think the first 4 picks are going to go for the NBA draft? If there are no trades made, who do you think Atlanta takes? Who do you think Washington, Houston take? Who do you think the Spurs take at 4? Leave me your first 4 picks in the comments. We'll read them here, see what you guys think. So we're going to go back to Tim here. So the greatest team that couldn't get a title, it's going to take a while. I mean, let's be real, man. Orlando was 1 when they got swept by Houston. That was one that I can remember very vividly. The Sonics, even though they played against that Bulls team, but the Sonics with Peyton, with Kemp, with Shrimp, I mean, that team was a hell of a team. I think that's one team that I think any of the Utah teams, I'll be straight up, even any of the Utah teams, they should have won a title. Barkley should have won a title in Phoenix. That Phoenix team was pretty damn loaded. So those are the teams that just come off that just comes off top of my head. Portland with Drexler. I mean, the Portland team with Drexler, Terry Porter, Kersey, Williams, Duckworth, Clifford Robinson coming off the bench. That was a team that I feel should have won. They should have beaten the Pistons that year. So that's another team off the top of my head where I feel they should have won an NBA team. These are all, I mean, you're asking me to pick one team. That's kind of hard for me to do when it comes to which one NBA team can win a title. But who do you think it is, Tim? Who's your best team, NBA team that never won a title, that should have won a title? But like I said, those are the teams for me. I think out of all of them, I would probably say, I almost would like to say that Portland team was one that I feel should have won an NBA title. But the Pistons, I mean, you're talking, it's the bad boy Pistons, Lane Beer, you're talking Aguirre. I mean, Vinny Johnson, you're talking Isaiah, Joe Dumars, I mean, Rodman, James Edwards. You're talking about a lot of these guys. So I think I felt the Trailblazers were actually a lot quicker. And even later Trailblazer teams, Rasheed Wallace, Steve Smith, Scottie Pippen, Bonzi Wells, those teams, that team was another team that was pretty stacked. Go all the way to Sacramento. You had Divac, you had Weber. I think those are the teams with Bobby Jackson. You had Bibby. I mean, those teams were other teams. Doug Christie. Those teams. A lot of those teams were title contenders, man, and a lot of them had just bad luck. I mean, Robert Horry nails that three, with the Lakers to basically just put a nail in the coffin against the Kings. So a lot of different teams, man. There's a lot of Spurs teams that didn't make the finals that should have won. They should have won a lot more titles. So it just depends on, who it is and who you think the best team in the NBA to never win a title is. But those are the ones off the top of my head right now. So nonetheless, man, again, just want to give everybody a reminder, June 26th is draft night. It's the first round of the NBA draft. Sweep the League is going to be with you live that night. We're going to go pre-draft. We're going to give you a little bit of a draft preview. Then when the draft starts, we'll go live again for Sweep the League. It'll be the draft night special. We'll be with you with every pick that night, all the way to the end of the first round. We're going to give you our thoughts on everything. Of course, we'll be covering your San Antonio Spurs. If they pick at 4 and 8, any trades come through, we'll definitely be doing that. It'll be myself. It'll be a couple of Sweep the League guys. Also, Ben Bornstein, he will be with us as well. He's a Sweep the League draft guru. Jeff Garcia, I think, is going to join us when the Spurs end up picking, or when they end up making that pick. We'll have Jeff on for those picks as well. So we just got an exciting night coming up, June 26th, which is next Wednesday. So be sure to join us for draft night. It's going to be fun, guys. Rudy Campos, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we'll be talking probably a little bit more NBA draft, also the NHL update. Lord Stanley Cup is 3-1. Can Edmonton come back? That's the question. We'll be back here in just a second. Attention coffee drinkers, Mudslingers Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Boulevard, Monday through Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That should be your first and only stop for your coffee needs. Rudy Campos Jr. coming to you from Sweep the League. Hey, man, if you are wanting that specialty espresso drink, whether it be the cinnamon bun avalanche, the German chocolate cake, or the original, the Mudslinger itself, or why not go with the Muddy O-Slinger? Or if you like the classics like myself and you just want to chill with a latte, a chai tea, or just grab an Americano, Mudslingers is the place to go. Hey, they even have cold drinks, the Italian soda, the Lightning Bolt Italian soda, Fruit Slinger smoothie. Oh, you know what? Let's not forget the most important thing there besides coffee. Those hot mini donuts. I haven't had a donut in a long time, but that should not stop you from heading over to Mudslingers and grabbing some of those hot mini donuts as they come out. That is, again, Mudslingers drive-through coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Boulevard, Monday through Sunday, 6 to 6. Why do you choose Mudslingers? Because life is too short for bland coffee.
Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet Philly Radio.
Welcome back to Sweep the League. Shout out again to Mudslingers Coffee. Shout out to Special Leave. Shout out to MCS General Contractor, La Cocina Taco Truck, Lids, Burger Boy, all the great people out there that show support for Sweep the League. Also, shout out to Sports Insanity Network, Mark Halpern, and those guys. Again, they're up in New York. So that shows you how far Sweep the League is going right now up in the New York area, the Northeast part of the United States. And also shout out to I Am Refocused Radio. Shamaya Reed does a fantastic job out there. Great interviews. You got to check them out. Cuba Goody Jr., just to name one of the great interviews that Shamaya has done. So then that is I Am Refocused Radio. All of them Sweep the League is a part of Sports Study Network and I Am Refocused Radio. So NHL, but man, check this out. Florida's been pretty dominant the entire Stanley Cup. They went up 3-0 in the series. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened with Edmonton. They woke up. Final score in game 4, 8-1. Edmonton thrashed. I remember watching the game with my wife, and we're just looking up like, okay, it's 1-0. Okay, it's 2-0. And it's like, okay, it's 2-1. Oh, it's 3-1. They were just scoring barrages. First period, 3 goals by Edmonton. Second period, 3 goals by Edmonton. Third period, 2 goals by Edmonton. It just seemed like it was just goal after goal after goal for Edmonton. Now, just a reminder, you hear a lot about NBA Finals, and no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. Well, thanks to Barry Best of the Best Boys podcast, he informed me when I asked him the question, has an NHL team ever come back down 3-0? Especially in the Stanley Cup. And he did say the 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs came back. They were down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup, and they came back to win the Stanley Cup. So in the hockey world, it has happened. Will it happen again? I don't know. And I say that I don't know because Florida, as dominant as they've looked, Edmonton really wasn't getting as dominated by Florida as Florida was in this game. Edmonton just came out. They showed up and showed out. So everybody knows the fourth win is the hardest one to get in any sport. In the NHL, it seems a little bit harder because Florida played pretty tight. Edmonton played pretty loose, and we saw the outcome. It was 8-1 Edmonton. I'm thinking if the game tomorrow night, Edmonton against Florida, if Edmonton gets that win, it looks like everything shifts to Edmonton's way. I mean, they've got probably the better team of the two. I know talking to Carson and Barry, the Best Boys podcast, we had the preview show for the NHL Stanley Cup, and they both said, Edmonton's probably the more superstar loaded team. Basically, they're the more dominant team of the two. Florida's the more scrappy team when it comes to defense, especially. So they are not really surprised Florida's up on the series. They're probably more surprised that Edmonton is having a lot of trouble, like they have been. And honestly, it could have been either way. Edmonton could have got a couple of victories here or there in this Stanley Cup. Florida's just been that good, especially on the goal and around the goal. But it just seemed like everything clicked for Edmonton in game 4. And when I say clicked, it looked massively bad for Florida. So game 5 is tomorrow night for Florida and Edmonton. Be sure to catch it, man. So far, the Stanley Cup has been very exciting. Very, very exciting. It seems like every other play, every other time something happens, a whistle blows, these guys just want to come to blows. They want to start fighting left and right. So in 2011, the best second-round draft pick last playing in the league by the Spurs was the one and only Adam Hanga. Adam Hanga was another one. I was a fan of Robertas Jaktovis. I'm butchering the name, but Jack Tovis, I was a huge fan of his, and he ended up having that, I believe it was that motorcycle accident, which pretty much just ended his career, any chance that he had an NBA career. So I love the Jack Tovis. I'll be honest with you, the best second round pick, man, not to play. I don't know if Jack Tovis was a second round pick. I would probably say Hanga is one of them. I'm going through a lot of them now, and I can't remember offhand a bunch of these guys. I mean, we all know the best second round pick of all time in Spurs history, and probably one of the best all time second round picks of all time, period, in the NBA is probably Monte Ginobili, drafted by the Spurs in the second round. So I would say Adam Hanga is definitely one kid that definitely should have had a chance to play some pretty good minutes in the NBA, but nonetheless, I mean, he didn't quite make it at the time. And think about it, 2011, that was kind of, there probably wasn't a room for him on the roster around that time. That's probably why you didn't see him get any time with the San Antonio Spurs. But good call that, Mario. Appreciate that comment. So again, just going back to hockey, man. Hockey days and tomorrow, Edmonton. The way they looked, just it was terrifying. It was terrifying. If I'm a Florida Panther fan, which again, I'll remind everybody, I took Florida in 6, so I'm not too worried yet. But if tomorrow goes the way Game 4 did, I would probably be scratching my head and wondering if Florida is even going to win another game in this series. So, dominant performance by Edmonton. Again, game 5 is tomorrow, and it will be in Florida. So, but we'll see how that ends up going here. Let me make sure on that real quick before I go on. Man, I gotta make sure because I'm saying it's in Florida, and it should be. Yeah, it is in Florida tomorrow. Puck drops at 7 o'clock. You'll see it on ABC or ESPN Plus. So, the whole drafting, like we talked about, we've talked about the Spurs. Vegas chiming in, taking either Castle, Topic, or Dillingham. Of the three, I feel Dillingham is just probably the worst pick at 4 out of those 3. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I've never been on a Dillingham bandwagon at all. But out of those 3, I've got him ranked as Castle, Topic, Dillingham. With Topic's injury, if it's not as serious, then I would do 1A Castle, 1B Topic, and then 3 Dillingham. I'm not comfortable taking Dillingham at 4 for the San Antonio Spurs. There's just a lot more questions for Dillingham than I have answers for when it comes to it. So, and again, I look at a lot of the tape, and I look at a lot of the games that they've already played in college, and just one thing on Reed Shepherd, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm talking to Derek Gervin on the side here, and I remember giving him a call. I said, one thing I don't like about Reed Shepherd that I'm noticing is he has a hitch in his jump shot. And it's noticeable. If you're looking at it, it is noticeable. It's a small hitch, not so much a hiccup, but it's a little hitch. Kind of takes a little while for him to let that jumper go. And in the NBA, it's a quicker game. Defenders are going to be able to be all over that. They're going to see something like that when it comes to Shepherd, and it's something that they can pinpoint, and they'll definitely take advantage of it. So those are the little things that I kind of look at. Not saying stuff can't be improved. Obviously, all these guys, everybody's improving every day in the NBA. So again, it's something that can be worked out. Mechanics are always worked out on the NBA. So that was for me, Reed Shepherd. That's kind of why I have Reed Shepherd dropping in the NBA draft. Again, probably not out of the lottery, but just further down. I think he drops past number 8, number 9. I think that's kind of where I'm looking at him going, around the 9, 10, 11 spot for Reed Shepherd. So that's what my deal on Reed Shepherd is. That I just don't like the hitch that he has at his jump shot. Former Clark star and current Duke player Ariana Robertson playing for Team USA under 18. That's a huge deal. That's a very huge deal. Shout out to Ariana Robertson. She is playing at the University of Duke coming up here next season. Local star for Clark High School. And yes, she is playing for the under 18 Team USA. Shout out to Ariana Robertson out there. Good luck to you. And I know you're going to do fantastic. You've been doing great this season as well as seasons before here in San Antonio. So shout out to Ariana Robertson for sure. So one thing that I wanted to bring up real quick here was NFL wise. Now, we've got training camps coming up they're right around the corner, literally right around the corner. And I started looking because I saw that HBO's Hard Knocks is going to cover the AFC North, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. And I started to think, man, is that possibly the best quarterback division in the NFL? Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Pittsburgh has both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who I'm saying right now, I fully feel Justin Fields will be the starter week 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Russ is going to end up being the backup. That's just my personal feeling on that. I feel Justin Fields is probably going to end up being started week 1. But nonetheless, is that the best quarterback division? I mean, if you look at what the AFC West, you've got Herbert, then you've got Mahomes. Pretty much, I mean, that's pretty much there. I mean, you're really not seeing a whole lot when it comes to other divisions. So I feel that the AFC North has the better QBs in that entire division. And who's going to be number 1? I kind of like that we're going to see Hard Knocks do the AFC North for the midseason show. It's going to be a very competitive division. Any one of those teams can win that division outright. I mean, obviously, Cincinnati's getting Joe Burrow back. They're re-signed T. Higgins for 1 year. I feel Jamar Chase is going to probably end up being a monster this year at the wide receiver position. He's going to be one of a couple of receivers that legitimately has a chance to beat Calvin Johnson's single season yardage record, that 2,000 mark. I mean, of course, you've got Tyreek Hill as another guy to look at. A lot of people are downplaying Justin Jefferson because of, the quarterback situation there. But, I mean, Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson. He's going to make plays. He's going to make whoever quarterback is in Minnesota, whether it be Darnold or whether it is J.J. McCarthy right out the gates, he's going to make them better from the get-go. I mean, it's Justin Jefferson, but then you've also got another receiver, Garrett Wilson from New York. I mean, the guy has put up 1,000 yards this season every year. He's been in the league a couple of years already. And look at the quarterbacks he's had, man. Zach Wilson was his quarterback. Mike White was his quarterback at one point. I mean, this guy, and let's be real, Rodgers isn't exactly, all that in a bag of chips right now, but he's way better than any quarterback that Garrett Wilson has had. So he's also got another legit receiver next to him in Mike Williams. So look for Garrett Wilson to have another breakout season. If we're talking fantasy numbers here, fantasy football, oh man, you're talking the wide receiver is going to be loaded with Tyreek Hill. You're probably going to see Justin Jefferson slide, which he shouldn't, in my opinion. Where you see Justin Jefferson slide in fantasy football, you're going to see Jamar Chase rise. Another guy, like I said, Garrett Wilson probably isn't going to get drafted high, but he should be drafted high. If you need a receiver, Garrett Wilson is one of those guys where you're like, okay, I definitely need to make him one of the highest wide receivers I'm taking. I feel like Garrett Wilson's going to have a monster season. You also have Olave down in New Orleans. I think he's going to have a pretty decent year. But of the guys that I mentioned, I think you're going to look at Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to have a big year. You have the double-headed receivers when it comes to guys like Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. I mean, Deebo's not going to have a huge year, but if they're both staying in San Francisco, you've also got, Puka Nacua, you've got Cooper Kupp. You've got a lot of guys that are definitely going to going to be good in the NFL this year, fantasy football wise. The running back position, it's kind of hit or miss right now. I mean, you've got Christian McCaffrey, but outside of that, it's kind of hard for me to trust different running backs. I think I'm going to go more with the receiver this season. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had an off year last year. I mean, yeah, they won the Super Bowl. Saying he had an off year kind of doesn't sound right, but he technically did have an off year. I think he had 14 interceptions, but you kind of loaded him this season, drafting Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown is there now. So you're going to see Mahomes actually be able to air it out like he was in the early days with Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's going to be able to air it out with Xavier Worthy there, with Hollywood Brown. I mean, these guys have speed. So now Mahomes is going to be in his element. He's going to be able to get it down, 40, 50 yards downfield to these speedsters that he's got. And don't forget, I know Rashee Rice is probably going to have a suspension coming up for the NFL. But once he's back, or even if he doesn't get a suspension, I mean, there's your slot guy. And you saw how effective Rashee Rice was last year. We have Locked On Spurs here. Rudy, can Boston win back-to-back? It's been a while since anybody had a back-to-back champ. So with what I talked about earlier about the Western Conference being basically blown up, I think, you may see Cat go into the Eastern Conference. You may see Paul George go into the Eastern Conference. It's going to be a little bit tougher until Milwaukee figures out the whole point guard situation, because I mean, I don't trust Dame at the point guard spot. They went downhill when they traded Drew Holiday. They let him go and they traded him. They completely lost their fire when they did that. So I'm not even considering Milwaukee. I see Orlando being a pretty good threat next year. I know beginning of the season, I told Derek they're my surprise Eastern Conference team for this past year. You saw how they did. They're a veteran or two away. Klay Thompson's kind of being rumored to Orlando, so he would benefit a whole lot in Orlando, and he would make them a lot better. Depending on what Cleveland does, I mean, you're probably going to see Jarrett Allen being traded or moved out of there. He's going to be gone. Garland or Mitchell might be gone. One of those guys might be gone. So more than likely, one of those guys may be coming out west. So I think you're going to see balance, Jeff, more than anything, where Boston's going to have they're going to have a tough time in the East, but I don't think it's going to be any more tougher than what we've been seeing. Joel Embiid. I think if Joel Embiid is healthy for a majority of the season, they're a threat. The Knicks are the biggest threat, in my opinion. And I've been saying I feel like Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be a New York Knick starting next season. And if they're able to get Towns and by all means keep Randall and just kind of keep their team in play, that's going to help them. But I really think they're going to probably have to give up Julius Randle, because I feel Hardenstein's going to be re-signed there. And then a Hardenstein and Cat to go along with a Brunson, a Hart, a DiVincenzo. They've got something cooking in New York. So I think the Knicks are probably going to be one of the teams that's going to be a threat to Boston. Miami, they've got a lot to consider. Jimmy Butler, there's no guarantee Jimmy's going to stay in Miami. So needless to say, Jeff, I think Boston, percentage-wise, I have to see what Denver does in the offseason. If Denver solidifies the bench like they had in their title run, that's going to be tough. Then I could see a Denver-Boston NBA Finals next season. But I think Boston has probably a 65% chance of repeating with the same team if they bring the same team back and they also add a player or two for their bench. I can truthfully 100% see them being back-to-back titles. I give them a 65% chance to win back-to-back titles. So appreciate the comment, Jeff. Appreciate the question, man. Again, Locked On Spurs today. Jeff and I talk about Vegas chiming in. Is it Castle? Is it Topic? Is it Dillingham? All three guys are the odds-on favorites, and they all have equal odds of being drafted by your San Antonio Spurs at number 4. Check out Locked On Spurs with myself and Jeff Garcia. Best San Antonio Spurs show, best San Antonio Spurs coverage across the land, across this great world of ours as well. That is Locked On Spurs. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Again, we talked about NBA draft tonight. Again, I want to give y'all a heads up. Next Wednesday, we will be doing the first round of the NBA draft. We'll do the pre-draft show. We'll get you guys ready for the NBA draft. We'll let you in on any rumors, anything we hear. We will give you caught up before the draft starts. And once the draft starts, we will restart Sweep the League. And we'll be live for the entire draft, for the entire first round. Not that hot, the entire first round of the NBA draft. So we'll be giving you every single pick in that first round. We'll give you our thoughts. We'll give you ideas. We'll give you possible trade scenarios. If we hear of anything, we'll give you grades on NBA drafts. We'll give you everything you need for the NBA draft next Wednesday here on Sweep the League. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the NBA draft coverage that we will be providing for you guys. So for Coach Gio, for Derek Gervin, for Shemaya, for everybody involved to Sweep the League, again, shout out to Derek Gervin, UTSA Hall of Famer. This is Rudy Campos Jr. Till we see you guys again tomorrow. Y'all be good.